here from a little bird that you guys may or may not have read this book previously. So if you have read this book and you remember this book, try not to give away too much of predictions, okay? Let everybody predict a little bit. I wrote some vocabulary words up here. You do not need to write these down, and you're not going to have a test over them or anything. I just thought that it would be nice for you guys to see some important words that related to this book. Okay? So, just for connections. Does anybody know anything that they want to share about the Underground Railroad or slavery? Yeah.
The Underground Railroad was discovered by Harriet Tubman.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, you're right. Okay. It's underground. Does anybody else think that it's underground? Do we have anything that we want to add? Yeah? Do you think it's underground?
That it was like the Underground Railroad was like a long path to the northern states from the southern states when the Civil War, well, before or after or when the Civil War was going on.
Okay, so we have Path, Civil War, Harriet Tubman, yeah?
It was for the African American people that were slaves to, like, overnight go travel from this land where a lot of people are rich and wealthy and need more slaves to a country that is kind of has slaves all over.
Okay. So, do you think the Underground Railroad was a path that helped get slaves to free parts of the country? So make
Freedom.
yeah, freedom. Okay, so if I showed you the cover of this book, you guys have any predictions?
Yeah.
It's called Henry's Freedom Box. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, go away in a box. Yeah.
He's gonna go under the railroad.
Under the railroad. Okay.
His box is like he might go away a box like to where he can live freely,
To go away to live freely. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. Hold on. What I would like for you guys to do is, as a group, you're gonna come up with one post-it note for the whole group that is one thing that what I think I know. So it could be about slavery, it could be about the Underground Railroad, or it could be about this book. So I'm gonna give you guys 2 minutes and to come up with one thing for your group, and then when you get your one thing, I want you to come up here to the board, put it on the board, and you're going to tell everybody. Okay? Got it? Okay, 2 minutes, go. Okay, you guys are going to work as a group, so you're not always going to write. Can I have a couple? You guys only need one post-it. You're only going to... Well, you'll need 4 for later. So you'll do 1 for the group. Okay? So you're only going to write 1 right now. Okay, so one thing, what I think I know. What do you think you know about the Underground Railroad or slavery or Henry's Freedom Box? So write it on a post-it note and put it up on the board. Oh, you want? Okay, good job. It could be either. It could be any of it. One thing. What do you think you know? You guys have about 10 seconds to get something on the board, please. It doesn't have to be perfect, it's just what you think. Okay, group, go ahead, put them up. Yep, put them up on the board. And then tell the class.
Okay. So
Listen.
So we said we think we know that Henry's, and then the box is gonna go on a ship, and then the ship is gonna take him to freedom.
Cool. Okay. Uh-huh.
We think that he will get shipped away to freedom.
Okay. This group right here.
We think at him something good will happen.
Okay. This group right here.
We think that he will ship himself to freedom.
Okay. So put your Post-its up there and head back to your group. The next thing you guys are going to do on one Post-it note for your whole group, write one question that you still have. Your question could be about slavery. Your question could be about the Underground Railroad. Your question could be about the book. Okay? It can be any question. I want 1 minute. 1 minute to come up with one question. All right, guys, you have about 20 seconds. 20 seconds. When you put your Post-it note up there, go ahead and read it to the class. Good job. Okay, guys, get your question. Write it down.
So we said when did slavery start and why? Because slavery shouldn't have started. Yeah, who started?
Good question. Okay, put that up on the board. I like it. That's a very good question. That's pretty good. What's your question?
What is the longest underground railroad?
Oh, what is the longest underground railroad? I like it. Okay, guys. It's over here. Okay, can you read it? Okay. Okay. Cool. Okay, and then your group, what do you have?
How did the Underground Railroad get built without the slave owners knowing that it was being built?
Oh, how was it kept a secret? Yeah. Okay. Okay, so we have some really good questions up here. We're going to go ahead and get started reading this book. While we read, you guys can use your Post-its to jot down things that you've learned or predictions that you make along the way, okay? And I'll stop every so often so that you guys have a moment to write those down. Okay, so let me see that you guys are in, can I get listening positions? How do I know if you guys are listening? Eyes and ears. Okay, so we're going to read Henry's Freedom Box. A True Story from the Underground Railroad by Ellen Levine and Cater Nelson. Henry Brown wasn't sure how old he was. Henry was a slave, and slaves weren't allowed to know their birthdays. What do you guys think about never having a birthday? Henry and his brothers and sisters worked in the big house where the master lived. Henry's master had been good to Henry and his family, but Henry's mother knew things could change. Do you see those leaves blowing in the wind? They are torn from the trees like slave children torn from their families. Okay, look at the picture. Do you see a connection?
Yes.
Leaves are torn from the trees like slave children are torn from their families.
But that's a simile.
Nice.
What page is that?
They're not numbered. You just write it. One morning, the master called for Henry and his mother. They climbed the wide staircase. The master lay in bed with only his head above the quilt. He was very ill. He beckoned them to come closer. Some slaves were freed by their owners. Henry's heart beat fast. Maybe the master would free him. But the master said, "You are a good worker, Henry. I'm giving you to my son. You must obey him and never tell a lie." Henry nodded, but he didn't say thank you. That would have been a lie. Just think about it. So he didn't say thank you, huh? Do you guys have any predictions? Just think about them. Just think about them. Rewrite them down. Later that day, Henry watched a bird soar high above the trees. Free bird, happy bird, Henry thought. Henry said goodbye to his family. He looked across the field. The leaves swirled in the wind. When he saw the leaves swirl in the wind, what do you think he was thinking about?
No.
No, how he
Him
was
falling apart.
attached. He was falling away from his family.
What his mom said, huh? Henry worked in his new master's factory. He was good at his job. Do not tear the tobacco leaf, the boss yelled at the new boy. He poked the boy with a stick. If you made a mistake, the boss would beat you. Is there anything in the illustration that connects with that? The boss would beat you if you made a mistake. Oh, just think it. It's just for thinking. Good job. Henry was lonely. One day he met Nancy, who was shopping for her mistress. They walked and talked and agreed to meet again. Henry felt like singing, but slaves didn't dare sing in the streets. Instead, he hummed all the way home. Henry must have been working there for a while, huh? Because he's older.
Yes.
Yep, he's older, and they couldn't sing. Months later, Henry asked Nancy to be his wife. When both their masters agreed, Henry and Nancy were married. Soon, there was a little boy, then another, and another. Henry knew they were very lucky. They lived together even though they had different masters. But Nancy was worried. Her master had lost a great deal of money. "I'm afraid he will sell our children," she said. Henry sat very still. Do you have any predictions? Do you think that Nancy could be right? Henry worked hard all morning. He tried to forget what Nancy had said. His friend James came into the factory. He whispered to Henry, "Your wife and children were just sold to the slave market." "No!" cried Henry. Henry couldn't move. He couldn't think. He couldn't work. "Twist that tobacco," the boss poked Henry. Henry twisted tobacco leaves. His heart twisted in his chest. Oh, I need to show you the picture. All right, guys, what do you think? Just think it. At lunchtime, Henry rushed to the center of town. A large group of slaves was tied together. The owner shouted at them. Henry looked for his family. Father! Father! Henry watched his children disappear down the road. Where was Nancy? He saw her the same moment she saw him. When he wiped away his tears, Nancy too was gone. Man, could you imagine? His boys are all tied up. Henry no longer sang. He no longer hummed. He went to work, and at night he ate supper and went to bed. Henry tried to think of happy times, but all he could see were the carts carrying away everyone he loved. Henry knew he would never see his family again. Do you think he'll never see his family again?
No.
Many weeks passed. One morning, Henry heard singing. A little bird flew out of a tree into the open sky, and Henry thought about being free. But how? As he lifted a crate, he knew the answer. He asked James and Dr. Smith to help him. Dr. Smith was a white man who thought slavery was wrong. They met early the next day at an empty warehouse. Henry arrived with a box. I will mail myself to a place where there are no slaves, he said. James stared at the box, then at Henry. What if you cough and someone hears you? I will cover my mouth and help, Henry said. I don't know. It's a tiny box. What do you guys think about Dr. Smith? Do you think he has anything to do with this? He doesn't like slavery, and he's helping Henry. Dr. Smith wrote on the box, to William H. Johnson, Ark Street, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Henry would be delivered to his friends in Philadelphia. Then he printed on the crate in big letters, this side up with care. Really trying to help Henry, huh? Hold on. Henry needed an excuse to stay home or the boss would think he had run off. James pointed to Henry's sore finger, but Henry knew it wasn't bad enough. He opened a bottle of oil of vitriol. No, cried James. Henry poured it on his hand. It burned his skin to the bone. Now the boss would have to let him stay home. Dr. Smith bandaged Henry's hand. They arranged to meet the next morning at 4 o'clock. He's willing to take a pretty big risk for this, huh? Burned. The sun was not up yet when Henry climbed into the box. Ready, he said. James nailed down the lid. Dr. Smith and James drove to the station. The railway clerk tipped the box over and nailed the paper to the bottom. Uh-oh. Dr. Smith begged the clerks to be careful, but they didn't listen. They threw the box into the baggage car. See where it says this side up? Whoa.
I wonder how he's tasting.
Hours passed. Henry was lifted up and thrown again. Upside down. He heard waves splashing. This must be the steamboat headed for Washington, D.C. The ship rode smoothly, but Henry was still upside down. Blood rushed to his head. His face got hot. His eyes ached. He thought his head would burst. But he was afraid to move. Someone might hear him. You guys ever been upside down on the monkey bars?
Oh, yeah.
Could you imagine being like that for hours?
Oh, yikes.
I've been on there for 15 minutes before.
I'm tired of standing, someone said. Why don't we move this box and sit on it?
Oh.
Said another.
Oh.
Henry held his breath. Then he Henry was pushed. The box scraped the deck. Now he was on his right side, now on his left side, and suddenly, right side up.
Yay! Woohoo!
Nobody's gonna get sad.
Do you think he's a little nervous right now, though?
Yeah.
People are messing with his box. But I bet he's relieved to be right side up again, huh?
Yeah.
What do you think is in here? Said the first man. Mail, I guess, said the other. I am mail, thought Henry, but not the kind they imagined. Henry was carried off the steamboat and placed in a rail car. This time, head up, he fell asleep to the rattling song of the train wheels. Hold on, keep thinking. Okay, let's keep going. He awoke to a loud knocking. Henry, you all right in there? All right, he answered. The cover was pried open. Henry stretched and stood up. Four men smiled at him. Welcome to Philadelphia. At last, Henry had a birthday. March 30th, 1849, his first day of freedom. And from that day on, he also had a middle name. Everyone called him Henry Box Brown.
Henry Box Brown. Woohoo!
What do you think he was thinking when they opened that box?
Freedom.
You think he was a little nervous, like, oh no, I hope this is gonna be okay. Yeah.
Maybe his master will ask some rumors, like ask some people, and then rumors are gonna start to spread around and follow him.
Okay, so I want you guys to think, just in your head, just for a minute, just for a couple seconds. It doesn't say anything in here about what happened to his family and if he ever found them. Do you think maybe he did?
Yeah.
Do you think maybe he went back to go look for them?
Does it say?
It doesn't say. Doesn't say. Okay, so this is what I want you guys to do. I want you to talk to your table mates for 2 minutes and just share some of the facts that you learned. If you want to put your post-it notes up here about facts you learned, that'd be awesome. So I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes to do that.
Okay, so my first prediction, the last one I was holding this one up, my first prediction was the son is a very nice boy and lets him go back to his family. That was my first prediction. And then the second prediction, because the boss, and now this isn't even a prediction, this goes back. The boss is very mean. This is what happened to his, his family. That's what happened to Henry. His family, yeah, his family got.
Okay, after you share a couple with your group, make sure to get some up on the board, okay?
Dr. Smith is really nice.
Maybe the right facts I've learned to put on the board.
No, they're actually not that.
Well, then put what you wrote on the board.
Well, no, because
Yep.
some of them are
Perfect.
predictions.
Good job. That was right there.
Well, these are predictions and facts. Can they still?
That's
fine.
Okay, do all of the groups have something up here under facts I've learned? Yeah. Okay, so the next thing you're going to do as a group, or the last thing that you're going to do as a group, is you guys are going to make some connections. So there's 3 different ways to make connections. One way is text to self. So is there anything about this book that you can think about yourself? Like, could you imagine being put into a box and traveling? Like, I have a hard enough time sitting in the car. I couldn't imagine being in a box. You could do text to world. So anything about this book relate to the world? Is there still slavery today, or are people treated unfairly today? The third one is text to text. Are there any books that you've ever read that kind of relate or that you can make connections So talk with your table and come up with one connection, and then share it with the class and put it on the board. So I'm going to give you guys like a minute and a half to do that. Oh, there's some right over there. So just take one because you only need one. Okay, so you guys go ahead and get that done. Okay, what's your connection? Okay, you guys have about 30 seconds to get it up on the board and share with the class. What do you guys have? Just one for your whole group. You only need one for your whole group. Text to self, text to world, or text to text. Okay, guys, go ahead and put them up on the board and share with the class. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so what do we have up here? Whose group is this one? Okay, do you want to share it? What is it? Okay. Okay, go ahead.
So if we were all and Rihanna said a connection that I made this book is that I would feel terrible if I lost my family.
Yeah, I would feel pretty bad if I lost my family too.
And Tyler.
Okay, your group?
Okay, sorry, I just had to write something down loud. And you want to go to
I know. What was he thinking? I didn't see anything in the book about him taking food or water. Do you think he did it?
Yeah, I said I wonder if he'll survive.
Crazy. That is crazy.
You can go for your boarding.
All right, guys. Let's be respectful because we have one more group that needs to share. Go ahead.
Alright, we said we are nervous when we're in the car and we hear like an unpleasant sound, like maybe if a tire pops or maybe a bear growls.
Yeah, so the sounds he heard were really unpleasant too. They're kind of scary, huh? Okay, awesome. So the last thing we're going to do an individual comprehension quiz. There are only 3 multiple choice questions and 3 open-ended questions that you're just going to answer. So I'm going to pass these out to you. As soon as you are finished with these, they're going to go on the pink table. So where do these go when you guys are finished with them?
On the pink table.
Thank you. Okay, individual. So what does individual mean?
By yourself.
There you go.
Can we use food?
Yes, you may. That is everybody's question.
We like that.
Pen is a pretty big deal. Okay, guys, so if it's